Thank you for joining me on this summary of my March vlog. This is an exclusive video for just my patrons on Patreon. So welcome to the team. I hope that you can understand that there's a lot of stuff going on and I'm constantly creating. So I'm trying to work through the best way to vlog, and hopefully my future self will find a better way of doing what I'm doing. Okay, so today, in summary, a couple things. I put out 5 videos this week on my YouTube, I put out 5 videos this month on my YouTube channel. The first one was the black bodice and the skirt. I'm actually really happy with how those worked out. I've worn them every weekend since I made them at work. I did go back and clip a little bit at the top of the boning that was up close to the neck because it was, after about 3 or 4 times I wore it, it started to poke a little bit and become uncomfortable. So I clipped that down and shortened it up top to probably around here, so below my collarbone. And it's exactly perfect. The only thing that I'm probably going to have to do is I'm probably going to have to make myself another one that is for really hot weather, because I've noticed that with that front piece, even though that is not heavily lined and the sleeves are not lined, I'm getting really hot about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I don't like to be hot. I don't like to be overheated. It's an uncomfortable sensation. There's a reason I live in Montana. So I am probably going to make a second bodice to go with that work skirt. The second YouTube video that I put out was on the 3rd, and that was the green leaf bodice with the heavily embroidered front panel. And again, another one of those outfits that I really love. I did have to go back and clip some of the boning down, both up top and at the bottom actually, because it was too stiff and it wasn't actually laying properly. So with those 2 bodices, an important thing that I learned is that I should probably only put boning up to about where my bust curvature hits, so that it nicely forms an even arch there, but not so far down past the waist. I just want the boning to reinforce the silhouette. I don't really need to use it as a structural piece, as in like a piece that needs a lot of support. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but I don't need that much boning is basically what I'm getting at. The other thing I love about the green leaf bodice is that it's short sleeved. It is nice and cool, even though it's got a heavily embroidered front panel, which is a heavy duty fabric. It's probably one of those that I will wear in weather that gets up to about 70, 75 degrees. And then after that, I've probably got to make another lightweight bodice. And I have my eye on some fabrics to play with to make some lightweight summer bodices. On the 15th of March, I released my thread crate coat, which I have now worn every weekend and a couple times during the week since then, because we have spring-like weather. It's not like 5 degrees outside. It's been running in the 30s and 40s, which I found that coat is exactly perfect weight-wise. Now, some things that I don't like about it. It's all polyester fake fabric. It is slippery. When I try to put my backpack on, it slides right off my shoulder because there's no actual structure. You know, there's no stickiness to the fabric, to the fibers. The only piece that's somewhat sticky is the velvet on the front, but the backpack doesn't sit there. It sits more often either on the fur collar or it sits on that slippery back fabric that I can't remember what the name of that fabric is. Anyway, I'll link that here. So I like it. It's comfortable. It fits me. I want to make one out of wool. So I don't know when I'm going to squeeze that project in amongst all the other things I have going, but I really want to make a wool one. On March 22nd, I released the video called Hate Mail, and oh my goodness, I did not expect the community response from that video at all. It was a video I actually shot in late December, early January, and I didn't do anything with it. I made the video, I sat on it, and I just kind of waited until I was past that trauma response, and I was in a much better place, and I watched it again months later, and I thought, you know, I think I did a pretty good job on that. I think that that's positive enough of a spin. It's a serious issue that needs to be addressed, and I am going to turn it into something positive. And I did, and oh wow, the positive response was amazing. I have received love mail in response to that video. I have received donations, and I have received a lot of community support, both on the front and on the back end. And I am truly, truly grateful for the experience. And I'm truly grateful that I was able to share that in a positive way with the community. So that was amazing. And then on the 29th of March, I released the Pin Keep project, which I actually did around Christmas. And I've had the footage and I just hadn't gotten around to editing it. I have probably about 4 videos worth of footage on various projects that I have shot in the last 6 months. And my goal is that in the next couple months, I want to plug those in my regular Monday release dates to give myself a little bit of a wiggle room for some of the other projects that are taking a little bit more time in the backside. And so far nobody seems to care, so I'm going to continue doing that. So I've released 5 videos this month, and that's a lot of videos. I'm pretty proud of myself, actually. My productivity has been kind of the last 2 weeks because I got my vaccine. I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. What I did not count on was that it would take me a week to recover. It wasn't too bad. I did have a fever off and on. I had digestive not so pleasantness, but mostly I was just exhausted. I slept that first week. So I got the vaccine on a Wednesday, and that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Monday I tried to go and see clients and do some work, and Tuesday I was wiped. I was completely wiped. I had to reschedule everything. So just FYI, if you get the Johnson & Johnson, know that you might have a response. It wasn't horrible. I would rather have the vaccine than COVID. I have some pretty severe underlying health conditions. I have a tattoo even on my arm that goes all the way up my arm that lists all of the things. So I do have serious underlying health conditions. I think I'm fairly healthy for my health conditions. I can do a lot of things, and I don't let it really get in my way, but COVID really did frighten me. It scared me in the sense that I've had health issues where I've been intubated before. I've been in an oxygen tent before. I've had major surgery before. I've had issues, and the last thing I want is to go through any of that again. And I deeply, deeply sympathize with anybody who's had to go through that process because it's horrible. So that's the vaccine stuff. It's spring in Montana. So that means the weather vacillates somewhere between snowstorms and sunny, beautiful 70-degree weather. And it can be that way in the space of 3 days. So I'm finding that with my underlying weather sensitivity, I'm very sensitive to the barometric pressure. I have days where I'm completely useless. I can't get myself into the studio to do anything because I'm just wiped from the barometric pressure having gone up and down and up and down. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of plugging in video content from earlier, because I either don't have the spoons to edit, or I just don't have it ready to put out. I have all kinds of content. I have content that could go through August, but whether or not it's edited properly and ready for release, that's a totally different thing. So projects for April. I want to get my tea gown house dress out. I want to work on and get the, it's in other channels, they call it a bicycling outfit. So it's the bloomers and the bodice and maybe a shirtwaist. It kind of depends on the design. I'm actually putting together an outfit for a slightly different purpose, multi-purpose, because multi-purpose is my thing. And there's some accessories that go with that. And I don't know how far out those will be released because I haven't actually made them yet, but they're on the docket for April to be working on. I've also talked about previous videos I want to put out, so there's some stuff in the works. I really want to get a couple chemise sets made. They've been on my list. There are other YouTubers that have made videos on this, and I totally get it. But they're a useful thing to have in your history-bounding wardrobe, your daily wear. It's a thing that you're gonna want. And I've now made a couple bodices that I don't have actual collars on because in time period, those collars were an accessory. They were something that you could change out. You know, sometimes you would see on historic garments, they have hooks and eyes or snaps sewn into the inside of the neckline of the bodice. And then you would have the collar that would snap in separate. So I have focused on the main pieces of the garments, but I haven't actually focused so much on the accessories. And that's kind of on the docket for the next couple months, is to work on those things. And some of the take on those accessories, actually, I want to feature some of my embroidery because I know that a lot of people have liked my embroidery, and I want to show more detail on that. And I'm getting a boom, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that I can clip a camera to do nice overhead shots, because that's a big problem with my filming. I am not a monetized channel, and so far I have no Patreon. Kudos to you if you have joined the team. Thank you. I thank you deeply. Because I'm having to save my absolute pennies for different gear. And there's two things that get in the way of doing good embroidery videoing or shooting is A, something that holds the camera steady so it doesn't move, and two, a clamp type get up so that you can clamp your embroidery in and it doesn't slide around. So it is the only thing that's moving is your hands, your needle, the thread, your body, but everything else is steady. And that's the thing that I don't have. I just ordered, I was really lucky. I had a really nice donation through my Ko-fi account, and I immediately went over and I ordered the boom. The boom, the clamp, and the attachment adjuster thing. There's a word for that. So I immediately went out and bought gear for that. Next on my list is about $150 purchase, and that is the clamp accessories that I can use to clamp in my embroidery. Now, I say that the ones I want are $150. I will say that I could probably get away with about an $80 purchase with some cheaper ones. I just don't have that money to do with. So until I have those funds saved up, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do the embroidery type videos that I really want to provide for you. I'm going to make stuff work. I'm going to try to film as best that I can with what I have. But don't be surprised if the quality's for shit. Okay. The other video that I'm going to put out this month, which is a video that I've been kind of working on a little bit along the way in research, which is building a history-bounding wardrobe and basing that on historical trousseau inventories. So that video should be out in April. Other than that, that's pretty much the sum of March. I mean, doing a summary at the end of the month, I think I'm going to like, because I can kind of give my thoughts on, okay, these are the things that I've made. This is a little bit more of an extensive dialogue as to what my thoughts are about the things, etc. So the bloomers pattern, I'm going to go back to that because I have it sitting in front of me. It's this pattern by Black Snail Patterns. The thing that I don't like about this pattern is this picture. And if you can see it, it looks like she's got a pleat outlining her butt. Now, I have a large derriere. I am built like a pear. At one time in my life, I was built like an hourglass, but then my pear bottom started to grow. I am not going to do that with my bloomers. I have been looking at the pattern. I have it all cut out, and it's really similar to my bloomers pattern in both the sizing and the measurements. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the pattern about 2 to 3 inches wider on the back panel. And I think that I'm going to pleat down the back piece into the waistband. That's my thought. And that's why I'm sitting on it, because I don't know that I'm going to do that. But I have enough fabric to do a really nice mock-up. And if the mock-up goes pretty good, I can use the mock-up fabric as like underskirt bloomers for when I go on hikes and stuff. So I'm not too worried about what the fabric is going to be made from those. But I know that I have some fantabulous wool waiting for me to make bloomers out of it. I'm so excited. And I have some trim that I've been hoarding. I've been hoarding it, completely been hoarding it since last year. And I've been collecting over time all these different shades of brown and textures and fabrics, and some of them were free, some of them were really inexpensive. And I'm really excited to make this brown ensemble. I don't know if that's not going to come out in April or May or June. It kind of depends on my momentum and my editing schedule, because I am not Bernadette Banner and I am not Morgan Donner. I am more like Noelle in the sense that if I have to spend a lot of time editing something, I'm just not gonna do it. I just am not. I have about a 4-hour max effort on editing videos. So anything that takes over 4 hours doesn't happen. And occasionally, and because the way my computer is, I have a MacBook Pro, and I am not going to buy extra storage for my cloud. I refuse. I'm not gonna do that. So I save everything into a terabyte drive. Well, the conundrum with editing, I use iMovie. I'm not paying for a subscription for DaVinci or Adobe Pro or all these things because I'm poor and I can't afford to pay for any of these things. So I like to make do with what I have. So I have a MacBook Pro, I have iMovie, and what I do is I dump one project at a time into my computer and I edit it in iMovie, and that usually uses all of my cloud storage to edit one video because I dump a lot of footage, and there could be up to 4 or 5 hours in a video that gets condensed down to 20 or 30 minutes on YouTube. That's a lot of footage, and I'm somewhat selective with how I film. It kind of depends on what I'm filming and where my mindset is and where my spoons are that day, etc. But sometimes it's just easier to put the GoPro on and just walk away and do all the things and then edit it later. It's heckin' a lot easier than trying to stop what I'm doing, film, stop what I'm doing, film. So that's kind of how those sequencings happen. And if I have a project that I've dumped into iMovie and I've spent more than 4 hours on it, I close it down and walk away. The downside is that is a lot of memory being used both by the computer and by my iCloud. And so I can't do a lot of anything else while that particular project is in the computer waiting to be finished. So I try really hard to do all my editing all at one time. Or on longer bits, I edit a section, dump that into my terabyte drive, erase everything off the iMovie, erase everything off the cloud, and then go about my business for a couple weeks, and then bring that project back by downloading that little clip that I did and then adding on to it. And that works as long as I don't lose track and forget where I'm at. Or if I was really tired when I was editing and it got to be too long, I ended up with a problem. So that's kind of the conundrum I'm in with the memory that I have on my computer, the memory that I have on my cloud, and the ability to edit. I am a firm believer in making do as best that you can with the materials that you have. I am an artist. I'm a compulsive artist in so many ways. I have 1, 2, 3 projects on my wall. I have another one over here. I've got one over there in that corner. I've got one over here, and I've got 2 on my table. I have all kinds of projects. And that doesn't even count the projects that I have in bins that are waiting for me to get back to. So I'm always working on something, but it's very hard to dialogue that. It's very hard to put that into a cohesive, bite-sized, chewable pieces of information for the public. I am doing my best. And I think sometimes I do pretty well, and other times I don't do so well. But I have chronic illnesses. I have chronic fatigue. I also have autism. So as soon as I get stressed about something or overwhelmed, I shut down. And that's a real thing when you're an artist. And that's why you see me jump around in projects all over the place on my YouTube channel, because I am bouncing around all over the place. That's how my art works. And I make do because I don't have a lot of money. When I do get a little bit of money, I buy things on sale. I'm really careful with my purchases. Somebody walking into my art room would go, "Oh my goodness, you have all the things." Well, I've been doing art for my whole life. Some of the supplies that I have, I've literally had for 25, 30 years. Some things you have for a really long time. Seam rippers last a really long time. Sewing machines. I've had this sewing machine since 2011. Probably one of the best purchases I've ever made. By the way, Viking, if you kind of want to sponsor me, I'm totally up for that. And I hoard doodads and bits and pieces, but I do that in a very orderly manner because I don't want to become a hoarder, but I also know that I might need that 3-inch strip of whatever to accent a chemise set or a pair of cuffs or whatever. So, I think I've rambled a little bit, but oh, the other project I want to get done in the next couple months is my book cover, because I really, really, really want to have that done by this summer. It's only been in the works about 6 years because I stalled out and quit, and now it's hanging on my wall, and I need my slate frame for something else, and it's on my slate frame. I only have one slate frame, and I need that. So that's kind of the sum of the March vlog. I'm not going to edit this. I'm putting this all up raw. If you're interested in seeing my other videos, you're more than welcome to go over to my YouTube channel and check them out. I'm going to try to go back and make sure that each one is linked into my Patreon account. The thing that I didn't do as much this month that I had plans to do was to load up more raw footage of the making of stuff. And I know I epically failed on that. So, April, that's kind of the goal for April, is to make sure I get some raw footage put up so that y'all as paying patrons can see more of the back side of stuff that's less polished and less edited. And there should be hours of it. There will be hours of it because there is literally hours and hours and hours of footage for everything that I do. Some of it's probably kind of comical, and some of it's probably boring as shit to watch. But I'm going to leave that up for you, for the viewer, to decide what you like. The other thing that I've got coming up is I have a logo design that I need to work on, so I hope to do some video footage of drawing of that. And then I have a huge, big project that's supposed to launch in May. And the closer we get to that, the tighter the deadlines, the more my anxiety is growing, and hopefully I don't fall apart, because I'm very passionate about it and I'm very excited about it, and it's something that I can bring to my viewers and to people who have no interest in watching me on YouTube. But there's a lot of back behind the scenes work, and I can only work on that stuff for about 3 or 4 hours at a time. Again, back to autism, small chunks so I don't build the anxiety and I don't get overwhelmed. The downside too is if I fall down a well, which I have fallen down this well several times in the last couple months, I lose entire chunks of time where I'm not creating in my art room because I'm spending all of that time doing research and in front of the computer. And that is not a healthy place for me to be for 8 hours of the time. It's just not. There's a reason I walked away from reception type work, because I was sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. I'm too much of an artist. I got to be doing stuff. Anyway, okay, no, I really am wrapping this up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for being my patrons on Patreon and supporting my art and supporting my passion of bringing you artistic content that's a little different and a little quirky from a little quirky and different person, me, Ankharet. Have a beautiful day, lovelies, and enjoy your tea. I'm gonna go finish mine and load this up into my Patreon account. Have fun.